My name is Fabricia. I live in Brazil, and I'm talking today about results in evaluation about adaptive behavior, emotional problems in children born preterm and children born full term at 4 and 5 years. About the World Health Organization, preterms are all newborn before 37 gestational full weeks. Every year, 50 million preterms are born in the world. Prematurity is responsible for several clinical complications that will determine developmental prognosis, and is responsible for behavioral and neurological development problems like developmental global disorder, moderate and severe, cerebral palsy, language impairments, intellectual disability, executive functions impairments, learning disorder, autism spectrum disorder, high score in autism spectrum disorder screen, more autism spectrum disorder symptoms, attention deficit and hyperactive disorder, externalizing disorder and internalizing disorder, schizophrenia, emotion problems, and social problems. And it's important the assessment, the preschool child development. Early identification of different impairments will lead to intervention, minimizing the impact on the development. The use of assessment tools takes an important role in follow-up programs on this population. In my study, the objective was assess emotional and behavioral problems and adaptive behavior of children born preterm and with very low weight, and children born full term with adequate weight at current age of 4 and 5 years. The other object was compare emotional and behavioral problems frequency in the preterm sample and the control group. Compare adaptive behaviors in the preterm sample and the control group. Compare if there is difference between genders in the presented assessment results of emotional and behavioral problems and adaptive behaviors in the preterm group and the control group, and compare if the lower mother education level has an impact on the presented assessment results of emotional and behavioral problems and adaptive behavior in the preterm group and the control group. My study was cross-section study with 45 children. 32 children preterm selected at the preterm clinic of UNIFESP neonatal pediatrics, and 22 children selected at public preschool. To both groups, exclusion criteria was major congenital malformations, impairments that would compromise assessment, and genetic syndromes. Inclusion criteria in the preterm group was 4 and 5 years of age, both genders, and born with weight under 1,500 grams. And inclusion criteria in the control group was 4 and 5 years of age, both genders, and born full term with adequate weight. The project was approved by the Ethical Committee in Research of Federal University of São Paulo. The instrument used to assessment emotional and behavioral problems was Strength and Difficulty Questionnaire. The questionnaire assessed internalizing symptoms like relationship problems, emotional problems, and externalized symptoms like conduct symptoms and hyperactivity symptoms. And to assess adaptive behavior, the instrument used was Vineland. Vineland assess conceptual domain, social domain, and practical domain. This study was pilot study. The sample size calculated was not performed. For all the analysis, the program SPSS for Windows was used and being considered significant P below 0.05. About simple characterization, two points is different, important difference in both groups. Gestational age, that in preterm group was 29.8 weeks, and in full-term group was 39.5 weeks. And weight at birth in the preterm group was 1,236 grams, and in full-term group was 3,347 grams. The others points is similar in both groups. And in the preterm groups, percentage of children with neonatal complication was 87% presented respiratory distress syndrome, 59% presents opinion, 30% presents bronchopulmonary dysplasia, 22% present periventricular hemorrhage, 90% present periventricular leukomalacia, 26% presents sepsis, and 4% presents meningitis, and 9% presents retinopathy of prematurity. About strength results in strength and difficulty questionnaire, SDQ scores were similar between preterms and full-term children. There was only a statistical tendency for preterms to present a lower score in SDQ relationship. In preterm group, lower percentage of children with relationship difficulties. Just 4% preterm group presents relationship difficulties, P 0.02. And the tendency for high percentage of children presents symptoms of hyperactivity. In the others domain, the percentage of children with SDQ alteration was similar to those born full term. About SDQ total, lower mother education, tendency higher scores. About SDQ conduct symptoms, lower mother education level, tendency to higher scores too. About SDQ hyperactivity, male increased 2.3 points, and the lower mother education level increased 4.2 points. And in the SDQ relationship, prematurity reduction 1.2 points in the SDQ relationship. About the results in Vineland, preterms and the full-term children present similar scores in all assessed domains. Tendency of preterms to present lower scores in the daily living skills domains and the motor performance compared to those born full-term. In preterm group, higher percentage of children present impairments in the adaptive behavior composite. Adaptive behavior composite is all domains: communication, daily living skills, socializations, and the motor skills. And in the preterm groups, 48% presented impairments, P 0.035. And the higher percentage of children present impairments in the communication domains. Higher percentage of children in preterm group present impairments in the motor skills. In the other domains, the percentage of children with impairments was similar to those born full terms. About adaptive behavior composite, males minus 7 points, 7.1 points. And about daily living skills, lower mother education level minus 8.2 points. About communication skills, tendency male reduce 4 points, and the tendency about socialization, male tendency reduce 4.4, and the tendency lower mother education level reduction 5.5 points. And about motor skills, tendency prematurity reduction 6.9 points. Discussion about strength and difficulty questionnaire. In my research, preterms presented similar SDQ results to those born full term. A statistical tendency of preterms to present less relationship difficulties when compared to born full terms. My results is different than other researches around the world about social skills in preterms. Possible justifications to my results. Like this, the other research shows that preterms present more difficulties in establishing and maintaining positive social relationship with school-age peers. Possible justifications to my results. The sample size was not calculated. Study groups thus not truly represent the preterm population. The other point is convenience sample. And in the control group, mothers showed concerns towards their children. The other point that my sample in the preterm group is preterm group followed up by a multi-professional team, and identification and the early intervention may have minimized social problems consequences. And important the point is questionnaire response with a single interview. Interview subjective influence level regarding the development of their child. Like show the study, the assessment of behavioral complaints of preterms for response of a single informant can overvalue or minimize problems. My study shows that tendency of preterms to present higher frequency of alteration in SDQ hyperactive, like show the other study. Systematic review shows that preterms born with low wave present increased risk of hyperactivity and inattention symptoms and ADD. About violent results. Preterm presented similar scores where compared to those born full term. Tendency of preterm to present more difficulties in the daily living skills domain. Like show the study, stress experienced by mothers in the initial period, mother-baby established bond can interfere in children's independence. And the other result in my research was tendency of the preterm group to present more impairments in motor skill, like show the other studies. Systematic review on effects of prematurity on development points to impairment in motor skills. Higher percentage of preterms present worse results in adaptive behavior composite, like show the other study. The other studies say that prematurity causes impairment in developmental indicators such as cognition, motor skills, behavior, language, school performance, memory, and attention. The other result in my study was higher percentage of preterms with impairments in motor skills, and the other study shows that the motor skills impairments are found in different age groups, and the different motor skills are affected by gestational age. And I show that higher percentage of preterms with impairments in communication domain. The other study shows that children born preterm have impairments in receptive and expressive language. About genders, male shows higher scores of hyperactivity on SDQ, like epidemiological data from the general population confirm that ADHD is more frequent in males. Impairments related to communication skills. Male preterms have worse prognosis in cognitive development and language skills in early childhood, and the tendency to present great difficulties in social skills. In the general population, when genders are compared, male shows worse performance in communication and social interaction skills. And about lower motor education level, below 9 years, higher total and hyperactivity in SDQ scores and the tendency to higher scores of SDQ conduct. The study shows that lower motor education levels is a predictive variable of externalized problems in the preschool child, as it leads to the use of coercive parental practice, such as physical punishment, which impacts negatively on externalized behavior. And the other study shows that the motor education levels impacts all children emotional and behavioral development. And my study shows that tendency to present more impairments in daily living skill and socialization. The literature shows that higher motor education levels is associated with a great variety of stimulation and interaction with their preterm children. Conclusions. The research had a pilot study, but it was already possible to identify some tendencies. Prematurity causes impairment in developmental indicators such as adaptive behavior composite and emotional and behavioral problems. In addition to the biological factor, it was found that lower motor education levels impacts negatively in children's development. Moreover, literature indicates that over the years, the influence of perinatal factors decrease and the environmental factors become more important. Data that reinforce the importance of identification programs and the early intervention for better evolution in development of this population over the years. This intervention, it assumes importance not only in the preterm life, but also in the whole family. It will minimize negative results and potentialize conserved abilities. In the family context, it will identify and act in the weakness of social condition, interaction, and adequate stimulation. Promotion, this intervention is an interdisciplinary attitude and involves health and educational system and the social action.